Look at that. My man got the mic and everything.
I forgot my headphones at work, so I had to bust this out.
He got the mic with the shock mount and everything.
This is real deal. This is serious.
No kidding. Here we are. Phil is going to be a little bit late. He got caught up in work and then somehow got stuck behind a train on his way home. So he'll be here shortly. This is episode 162 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram. When you go onto that website, you need to go and add something to the cart. Then you need to go to checkout and put in the discount code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money and get yourself something nice. It's all good. Peep the hat, Harry said. That's right. So BlackBox, check them out on all platforms, and then you need to go follow the fine folks at Puget Sound Pythons, Facebook and Instagram as well. Go follow them on Morph Market, and they're good people too. So all of them need to be followed. This is part of the Herpetoculture Network. And also, like, shameless plug, Fulvius Apparel. Got some Morelia shirts available for pre-order right now. I have the shirts in, just got to print them and then start getting them out to people. Go follow that endeavor on Facebook and Instagram as well. That's fulvius.apparel. I got some hats coming and stuff that I got some more embroidery stuff sort of in the works in terms of designs here. If there's any stuff that people want to see in terms of species and things like that, like, feel free to throw them at me because I'm always open to ideas. Try and do what I can to make people happy.
That bear and eye design, I'm a fan, man. That was pretty cool to come up with. I thought that was pretty creative.
That one's going to be tough because, I want the light, like, there's so much variation in the shade of green on those things. Trying to find something that, like that one that I sent you that has that, like, acid yellowy greenish. Like, I wish I could find something that
you're gonna have to just go like flow yellow with almost like a black underlay thread underneath it almost, or something to break it up a little. I don't know.
I was looking at thread color at work today, kind of trying to figure out which one would work best, and I think I have a happy medium, so we'll see. Keller said a Teletornish shirt, so I'm always thinking of stuff. Like, it's been nice. I come in here, I put on some music, I light up a cigar, and I just, like, get in the zone for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Start
Rhino rat skulls. Yeah, and I have like a short list of stuff that I've wanted to do designs for on my phone. I just don't have like a clear idea of what I want to do yet. But I did like a Papua New Guinea one yesterday that was started out as one idea and then it completely shifted into something else as I was going. So yeah, corns. I want to do something corn related. That one's going to be kind of tough. That one's like, it's going to be weird. Like the more common stuff is going to be a little trickier, I think, in terms of coming up with something sort of unique and something I'm happy with too. Peach throat's definitely on the list. Drophurus are on the list. I need, like, I'm gonna have to hit up Skylar here for a decent peach throat picture to base it off of.
I know. I don't know. Are you trying to do it like your the Ganya Soma Alliance kind of thing, where it's like the silhouette? Like
yeah. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing there is sort of done in that same manner. But I was working on I found a different way to do things that works a little better in terms of the detail and things than what I was doing previously yesterday. So I'm sort of toying with that some. So
yeah, I'll definitely have to send you some references.
Let me see. I don't think I have the. I'll show people. I had that lamp propeltus shirt too, that meth propeltus shirt that
That
I
was
like a lot.
hilarious.
That'll be a good one.
The meth propellants.
Let me see if I can open Photoshop without my computer having an absolute stroke. Bring some of these up. It's going to be asking a lot of my computer to be running this and Spotify and Photoshop at the same time. What's been going on, man?
Dude, we've been on a herp high, man, ever since we
No
all went
kidding.
on that Georgia trip, dude. I've been on. Well, it kind of started before that. It's like since New Year's, man. It's just been like I haven't had anyone come over and see the collection, and it's been like it was supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
you and Jake, and then turned into Jake, and then Billy came down, Jenkins, and then Chaz came down with his family, and then Billy Hunt came over to help out with a couple things. And Zach's been able to come down since he's been
Damn.
based out in Tampa. And then we did that Georgia trip. I'm just like, and then Aiden and Preston came down this past weekend. It is seriously like, I've been telling the boys, I'm like, dude, this past month has probably been one of the most
It's been
exciting and
busy as
fun
hell.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's just been nonstop. And we've had created some insane memories. It's been awesome, man. That Georgia trip was I'm still thinking about all the fun we had on that, man. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was such
Yeah,
a
that was
great
good. That definitely got me amped to get out more, and you
I
just
can already tell.
when you see stuff, like when you actually get out and find things, it makes things better,
Yeah. Plus, you've sent more stuff in the THN chat of you out herping since that
Mm-hmm.
Georgia trip than you have in the last year. So it's like it's all
Yeah.
pushed us a little
Yeah.
bit since then. It's like it's lit that fire. It's awesome. It's definitely fun.
I am working on a Cow King shirt, kind of.
Is it going to be a picture of you
So this
running
is
from
that.
Cow Kings?
No. Let me see if this thing's cooperating yet.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's awesome.
Yeah, so that was actually like it was from a picture of one of the Biocs I had years ago, and I completely put it through the ringer and adjusted it and tweaked it and did all kinds of stuff with it. So that's one that I'm working on. I don't know. So I'm kind of still trying to plan out exactly how I want to release this kind of stuff. If I want to make it like a monthly drop kind of thing.
That would be cool. Couple designs every couple months or every month or so. That way
That's
it
the Meth
doesn't.
Propellers one.
Yeah, that one's sick.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Shout out to Harry Claiborne for the not even one thing, because I didn't even think about that. And he was like, not even one. I was like, Dirt Snake Mafia one, I'm still I got to figure out a better solution for the actual snake, because I think that's a natrix. And that's like what constitutes a dirt snake, because to me, it's like the small fossorial stuff like Steraria, but to some people, it's like the brown carpets and things like that. So
Yeah, I feel like it's like what country or continent are we talking about?
right. And this I still need to play with. I'm gonna do a different Baird's, I think. So that's from that
The
that
school
food
or
that
the taco bus or whatever.
yeah, that food truck in Alpine. That was the text that was on the side.
That's freaking awesome.
And this was the little male Baird's that Chris found that he took a picture of in front of it. And I still have this snake, but I think I want to do a different Baird's, because this one I think it's kind of, I don't know. I need to figure out a way to get more detail out of it. So
Yeah.
it's a work in progress.
Like it's not bad, but it's like there could be a better option.
And then Phil wants a rink shirt. I was working on an Obsoleta shirt too at one point. This is a photo of one of P and Cody's rinks that I took a couple of years ago that I was kind of trying to use, but I don't know how well that one will really work out. There's no like zero detail in the face and the eye and stuff, so
Probably just
I don't know. I just enjoy screwing around on Photoshop.
Yeah. The Morelia one that you just came up with, dude, I really like that one. And the whole Australia with the Papua New Guinea over top, that's pretty awesome. I really liked it.
Yeah, and that one started off as one idea, and it's almost like I've come to the conclusion that it, like with logo stuff in particular, and like art in general, it's good to make something and then don't assume it's just done. Give it a few days, because the more you look at it, the more you're going to see stuff that you want to change and like tweak and stuff. So
Exactly.
that's
Sleep on it.
that makes life a little bit easier. Yeah, I have that Pitchuova shirt that we did as like the network shirt. I still have that design.
The one that you were putting on like the yellow print or whatever.
Yeah.
That one was cool.
I can do better than that now, though.
Yeah.
I'm smoking something I've not had before.
Some foreign deluxe.
Tatuaje La Riqueza. I have no idea what the blend is. We're going to find out. Looks pretty good. Looks like it would be a San Andreas Maduro wrapper. Like I said, I'll look up the blend in a bit after I've had a little bit of it. See if I can guess your looks.
I don't have a gar on me, unfortunately. I'm not high class.
Damn.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing there at the homestead?
You talking about all the critters or what?
Yeah. Everybody. All of it.
Dude, just thriving on, man. Freaking kind of got everything somewhat concentrated, got everything down to just basically the bear and I here. I got the pair of VBBs, the 2 green trees, the handful of Papa Winds, and then all those, and then all the peach throats out there out back. So it's a nonstop freaking event, dude. And then got the quail going on every stage of life.
You've been doing those for a couple months now, though, right?
Dude, it actually this month, it makes a year that I've been successfully hatching them out. So I've had them for a little bit longer, but it took me a while to get them to laying and hatching and everything. So I've had them hatching out for a year now.
That was because when we went to Georgia, you had brought Preston some eggs, and I thought that you needed to, like, they had to be turned like chicken eggs, like they had to be on a turner. And you told me they didn't, which, well, you could too, but
yeah,
said either way they seemed to hatch, which I thought was odd because I was sure they needed something more special.
And that's how I started out, because I was turning them and everything. But then I saw a guy on a YouTube video of a guy where he did an experiment, and he had basically the same success. I was like, all right, well, I'll try it. 2 incubators, non-rollers, 2 rollers. And I had the same success rate. So I was like, all right, one less thing to remember every day.
Yeah, because those things, I know my dad hatched out chickens for a while. He had a handful of them, and he was buying certain kinds and hatching some of them and whatnot. And remember when they hatched, it was always like, get them off that damn turner, because like once the babies start hatching, it turns into like something out of Saw.
Yeah,
and things just get hectic. Babies get caught under it and all kinds of stupid stuff.
Yeah, I didn't use the automatic one. That was why I was worried about that. I heard horror stories about that. Plus, it's like if you got like 50 or 60 of them in there hatching, then you can only imagine what kind of mess that is when you open it up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those things too, because then you're also limited on what you can put in the incubator. I mean, I don't know if you try to limit how many you have cooking at a time. But...
Well, I'm trying to figure out a mass. I'm trying to get like one of those big white long igloo coolers, and I'm going to turn it into like a little custom one, so I can stack like 500 or so, maybe even more in there, and to incubate at a time. Because right now I just have 4 like smaller ones, and I do like 75 in each. But it's so annoying having to go to each one and check them and everything like that. I'd rather just be one single unit and everything.
Yeah. Have it just sort of cycled in terms of like stuff that's due to hatch closest at the top, and then rotate.
Yeah. Kind of have like 2 or 3 shelves in there and just stack them up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
What did you start out with Like, how many did you start out with those before you?
Dude, honestly, it's pretty freaking crazy. And when you think about like the generational depression, it's like it
Mhm.
must not happen in birds because I started out with 16 birds and hatched out now we're probably in the 1,000 range. Sounds crazy, but it's pretty freaking insane how many birds have
That's
gone
crazy.
through in the last year. But no, like, there's no health depression, there's
Mhm.
no physical ailments, nothing like that. They all just keep on rocking, dude.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I don't know, but yeah, it started from 16. I got like 100 or probably about 80 laying hens right now. And then I just right now I'm finally to the point where I cycle all the sizes through and
Mhm.
freeze them off, bag them up, use them for the collection. So
Wow.
it's
How
been
many?
working out
So,
pretty good.
I mean, in terms of like mice, do you have particular ratios with quail that you try to like? What's the?
Like cycling out like a mice now, a quail now, or you're saying size wise?
I like breeding ratios, or do you even need
Oh,
to have a male?
dude, it's crazy. It's basically like find a rock star male and see how many he can handle and try to stay with the lowest amount because the males get really loud and annoying and they'll fight. So I got like 3 males in there with like the 80 females and they're rocking it.
Just putting in the Lord's work.
They're literally doing the Lord's work, man. They're living the life. That's all I can say.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's
I've
pretty
me
crazy.
and Jake have talked about trying them out, trying quail, and I just don't know that the space that we're working with could work really well with those, and then making sure that we're keeping things out of the mouse house. You know, I have a possum that I've had to like barricade out of it because it would dig under the door and it'd be in there eating the my rodent feed and stuff, and
Yeah,
that stuff
I
ain't cheap. So,
remember the videos.
and then yeah, goddamn rickets.
God
And
damn it, boy.
every now and then I'll get some rat snakes and stuff in there, and I just don't see any way of keeping it sort of visitor proof. And then uh where do you put all the tiny chicks and stuff like that to where they also can't run off? And
It's definitely a process, dude. Like I got different size tubs for different stages, and then the smaller raise up outside pen that's all wire and lifted off the ground, and then the actual pen for where all the adults go. So
Mhm.
it's a process for sure, but it's definitely worth it. At least
Yeah.
at this stage. At first, it was kind of a putting in the work, and you're like, "Damn, is this going to be worth it?"
Mhm.
But now it's starting to be like, "All right, it's starting to pay off."
Yeah.
We got some stuff stacked up.
And how much of your stuff are you feeding quail now? Sort of
Dude,
as a result of doing that.
everything that's big enough. Like as soon as it's big enough to eat those pop out of the eggs, I've been feeding it to anything. Like that Barons that you passed down to me,
Mhm.
he just now started eating the fresh out of the egg ones. So I was
Okay.
pretty stoked that he took that. I was pretty stoked. But all the other ones, they tear it up, man. I really don't have any issue feeding off anything. Like nothing's really picky. They all just slam it.
Mhm.
I got pretty lucky with that. And the freaking monitors eat it up. That's their favorite thing. So I can't complain there. It saved me a lot of money on monitor food, having 5 miles to feed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And I just now like doing the rats and stuff for the last couple months has been really nice because having a steady supply of like pups and
Those little,
newborns and stuff, the smaller stuff that I definitely need more of because most of my stuff is eating that size.
yeah.
It's been a huge weight off. And then it's taken a lot of pressure off the mice too that I have. So the mice have kind of started to get back in the swing of I got a younger group sort of back into each of the tubs and things, and they're starting to kind of kick off again. So that's been good. But
Yeah, dude. Other than the coil and everything popping off, though, I totally forgot to mention I finally got lucky and we got clutch those F1 pop ones in the incubator. So I'm just on that slow and long countdown till those
Yeah.
come out. Fingers crossed, man. That'll be so awesome. I can't wait for that to happen.
I am doing ASFs. I am doing those for Casey Cannon because he can't have them in Georgia. So he asked me if I would breed them, and so I am. And I just got my first litter of those actually over the weekend. And those come out really like fuzzy looking. They almost look like little hedgehogs. It's pretty weird. Jenkins asked if the retained egg passed. Like, what was the
Yeah, it's
situation with that?
still in process. She's still got it in her, but it's like right there at the end, trying to massage her and soak her. She's pooping. She's been moving around. She's drinking. I I really don't know. The advice I've been given was basically two options, and that was surgery, and they want to spay her, which would be cutting out her whole oviduct and everything. And everyone I talked to that has done that already has either lost the snake pretty like relatively quick after that, or it
Mm-hmm.
lives a couple months and it just slowly has more and more issues until it dies off. So I
Yeah.
was trying not to do that. So we're kind of, since she's doing everything normal and she hasn't showed any signs of like slowing down or ailments, I'm kind of just keeping her warm, letting her rock it. I fed her one meal that I injected with a bunch of liquid D3 and electrolytes and everything, and I kind of lubed it up with some fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that would kind of get things moving. She pooped it out and had a good poop, so now I'm wanting to give her a little bit bigger meal and see if that does anything. But it's not like she has swelling. She doesn't have anything going on. It's not really knocking her down. So everyone else
Right.
told me
Right.
to let it rock. So we're just gonna let it rock for now.
Yeah, dude. The female bimaculata I have, she's had it's got to be like a retained egg or something, and it's just been chilling there for a while now, and it doesn't stop her. And I'm just fully expecting one day to open the tub and to just be there.
Yeah, that's
It's
kind of
one
what
of
I
those
was
things.
told.
If it's there and everything functioning, functional wise, everything's fine.
Yeah,
Then just kind of the body's gonna figure it out.
it's gonna do its thing. And plus, like I was thinking, I mean, it's kind of hard to compare species to species because everything's different. But it's like there's Amazon basins and northern basins that'll hold mummified babies in their stomach for 2 seasons and then
Mm-hmm.
poop them out. Like they'll have a season where they had a birth, skip a whole nother season, then breed the next season. And when
Yep.
they're laying those out, they're laying out mummified babies. It's like,
Yeah, it's bizarre.
it's crazy as heck. You can't really compare a boa to a python, but if a boa can live through that, you can almost think, a month or two of a retained egg, a python might be able to handle it, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're seeing signs of lethargy or anything that's off, then I think that definitely means it's time to get it checked out. But for the most
Yeah.
part, if I don't see any major issues, like it is eating and passing things fine, then just let it do its thing and
Yeah, because
see what happens.
I did the whole vet route at first when I didn't that because I was panicking, and that was a whole $800 to put me right back in the position I was in. And the option they gave me was two more $1,000 to cut her open and spay her, and there's no guarantee on life at that point. So
Right.
if you guys, I mean, I'm saying everyone's in their own position, but I mean, I felt like my hands are tied at that point. I'm going to let it take the more natural routes because she's been rocked.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
But obviously, if she takes a downward spiral, I'm going to take her back and see what if they can give me some sort of last minute help on her. But
Yeah, I don't see quote unquote spaying a snake as being long term anything that could really benefit them. Like I know like males, I've heard of people who had males that had hemipines get infected or something, and they had to amputate one of them. But at least they still have another one that's functional. Like
yeah,
with the oviducts and stuff. To me, it seems like that would not
that's a whole organ.
that yeah, like that just wouldn't. I wouldn't expect a female to last long term with that being gone. I think people have done it with chondros. Um, where either I don't know if they had just completely sealed off the oviduct after issues, egg binding or what, but I know for green tree people that have had it done, like that was kind of it. Like that female was no longer going to be a breeder. Like it was just
Oh
the
yeah,
chance of having issues with that was just too high to bother again.
yeah. He said he would that it would 100% just be a pet. So
Yeah, which is fine too. It's just one of those things where I'm with you. Like that's probably the decision I would have made too if that was what was presented to me. Was I can do this, but I don't know that it's really going to fix anything or it might make things worse. And it's like if that animal's doing fine, then
yeah, I'm like
why
my
why
whole
bet?
thought. Yeah, she's not on her deathbed right now. She's not sitting here like freaking limped over, not moving. So I don't see why I'm going to go put her manually on a deathbed by someone
Mm-hmm.
else's hand.
Yeah. The what is the how big was the clutch?
12 good eggs, and
Nice.
then the 13th egg, lucky 13 is the one that got her. But
It's the
she's a
very
first,
last one.
yeah, very last one. And I mean, it's not like it's stuck way up in her mid body.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally that far away from her cloaca. So
Hmm.
she's a first time mom. She's a 2017, so she's got the age, she's got the size. But I mean, I don't know if it's just a first time complication, one of those things, or what.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah.
How are the chondros doing?
Dude, so I put the one older chondro in the built. He's actually right behind me,
Mm-hmm.
that PVC cage. It's an 18 by 18 by 18 little square. Kind of built it out with a bunch of fake vines and fake trees and everything. And I was kind of skeptical on putting them in there, but it's pretty packed, and it's got just a little light, a dimming UV on it, so I can kind of keep it pretty dim in there. The first 2 weeks, he found the little back patch of greenery in the back and just kind of hung out on the vine in there. And I was like, damn, I might have to put him back in the tub. He might not seem really like he's liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Tried feeding him the third week. He took the food. Then he started perching out in the open, and now he's just been perching out in the open. And he's been chilling, and he's thriving. He's taking 2 meals in there, so I'm just gonna let him rock. He looks so awesome in there. So I'm hoping I can get the other one and another one soon, and have those stacked on top of each other. Just
Yeah.
have a cool little double stack, beautiful green trees together.
Are you planning to get any more of those down the
So
road?
did you saw? I think I told you about that Aiden Bradley kid. He hatched out a
Yeah.
couple of clutches of chondros and the doom rolls. So I was wanting to get one of his F2 BX of the Bradley line, but this whole vet thing, and I've had a couple other things with our house going on. The boys that were just here, they just seem to freaking got spare bedroom, garage, bathroom, all sorts.
Always something.
So between the house, the snake, the going to the vet, and everything else, I just couldn't pull the money out of my butt right now. But I'm hoping since he's rocking those green trees, I want to get a little Biok off of him because I want to add some Biok blood to the collection. Just want to raise a little Neo though, just to
Mm-hmm.
do something red. Never had a red one, just got the two yellow, so I want to try a little red or something maybe.
Yeah, it continues to surprise me that as many Beox are imported into the states, like you really don't see people breeding those on a regular basis, like just Beox, not
Yeah,
necessarily Beox like outcross stuff that's tied into designer stuff, but like just like that first pairing that I did, that was just some Beox. It wasn't
pure Biok.
anything
Yeah,
life changing. They were just good looking snakes, So I think that's and that what's interesting too is like the holdback that I still have, like the one that I kept, uh personality wise is like completely handleable, like just as handleable as my other stuff that are 100% captive bred, have been for a couple generations now, like just as mellow. um and most of the people that I talked to that got some from that clutch too, it's the same way, like the animal's completely handleable, like it's not like what you see with imported Beox that are just
striking
really
off.
angry at the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the two I got, I mean, they're not Biak, but they're the chillest. They're just as chill as my Popcorn carpets. You can touch them on the face, touch them on the chin. They'll, as long as they're already moving. I'm not one to rip them off a perch, but I can grab them and handle them, and they're. I haven't had one strike at me. I only have two, but I mean they've never shown any aggression. So I feel like that stigma is all based off of the wild caught,
Yeah,
people
for sure.
not handling them right or keeping them in the wrong temperature or whatever it may be.
Well, it's comical because I'll open the tubs to mine, that are 3 or 4 years old, and it's like they are super mellow animals, but it's soon as I open that tub, I know it's coming because they sit right there in the front corner. There's a mouth coming at me, like as soon as I open it, like it is completely reactionary. Like there is no thought behind that. Phil, you removed yourself. There he is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Phil.
Sorry I'm late, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
You too, brother, in the flesh. I love it.
Yes.
But go on, don't let me interrupt.
No, we need you.
What did I miss, boys?
We're talking about green trees. Green trees and quail.
Green trees, quail. We need to talk about some herping, man. We've got some epic stories we should tell.
Yeah, you just posted that best of video on Instagram.
A little highlight reel.
Highlight clip reel. I love it, man.
I got to get some pictures from Aiden. He's got some good ones on his camera. When I get some of those from him, I'll post some up.
Yeah. I want to see the ones he took in Georgia.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He showed us a couple of those kings and the rat snakes. I'm like, dude, send those, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, his setup, for field photography is pretty legit.
It's pretty serious, man.
Yeah.
He was doing some work. It made me fall in love with a black racer with some of the pictures and the interactions we were having and just the encounters we got to spend with the snakes we caught, man. It freaking gives you a whole different perspective seeing it through that micro lens and everything.
And dude, that Masticophis in the one clip video, dude, that thing was killer.
Bro,
killer.
That was probably the craziest catch, one of the craziest catches of my life.
And I've never found one in Florida.
Yeah, I've never seen one in the wild either.
No shit, man.
Yeah, man.
We got them. There's a bunch around me, but it's good luck catching them. I've only had hands on one other than the ones we got. So I told the boys, I was like, look, if we get anything today, the highest thing it'll be is a coach whip and a pine snake and an eastern diamondback. But if we see a coach whip, we're going to have to get it. And it was a triangled effort. It was Aiden spotting it. Me and Preston literally drop packs, ran. We both jumped into bushes at the same time. He was running one way. I hit another way. We lost it for a second. We were all panicking. All of a sudden I spotted it again. It started to move. I yelled out some gibberish in a panic because I couldn't even speak English. But Preston was a mind reader, so he knew what I was saying, and he ran in the exact direction. I came around the corner of the bush. Preston's freaking diving midair, grabs this thing as it's halfway down the hole, and then he's having a freaking adrenaline attack. He's tripping over holes. He's tripping over potholes and bushes. I'm like, give me the snake. You're going to drop it. His eyes
fall on it.
Up bigger than an owl. I'm just like, oh my God. So then that's when I started the video is me tailing that thing and he's getting up off of his back and we're all just like having a party, man. That was the most cool adrenaline rush and just experience we were all sitting there yelling, hugging each other in a triangle after like, we freaking made it happen. We made it happen. Oh my God.
Meanwhile, the coach was just musking and biting again.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh, screw you guys. And it was a gravid female. Once we realized that, we're like, all right, we got to get some pics. We got to hurry up. And we put her back in the den because we were like, all right, she's freaking about to pop.
Yeah.
But it was so freaking cool just to see that and have her chilled out in an awesome scenery where we were like literally inches away from her face, taking pictures and just staring her in the eye, man.
Dude, how cool would it be to see hatch out some baby Easterns like that?
Dude, that's a freaking dream. After seeing that, man, it's just like, that'd be cool. Not little at all, but like an 8-foot enclosure with some height and some depth to freaking set up all naturalistic. Oh my God.
My buddy
palmettos in there.
Yeah, my buddy Tony Mills, he keeps some. I haven't seen them because I haven't been to his place and seen his stuff. But he's like, man, they're a handful. He's like, if you ain't paying attention with that tub open, they're gone. He's like, they are just, they teleport. They just
That thing's, they're lightning on Earth is what they are, man.
And that makes me happy that Preston was fumbling, because that boy's blessed. I mean, he points at a patch of sod, and all of a sudden there's magic underneath it. It's annoying. I know he's watching too, so he hears me.
I think Aiden must be like a lucky charm or something, and we were gonna have him on tonight, but he's on the road.
Yeah, stuck on a train.
But he was with us in Georgia. He's from the UK, and he's herped all over the world. I think he mentioned Israel. I think he's been in the Philippines.
10 countries is what he was saying.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I heard him talking about a few of them when we were there. But
that kid's got a wealth of knowledge for his age that's far beyond his years. It's awesome, and definitely experiences beyond a lot of us, man. It's pretty cool.
Well, he's like a prime example of why I've come to appreciate native species and stuff so much, because it's like you have the exact sort of example of what I'm talking about, of someone who's coming from across the globe and they see a rough green snake and they're like, this is one of my lifers. Like, this is what I've been looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you can't help but get pumped about that too. Like, it's a rough green snake. Maybe you've seen a million of them, but it's like to see someone who has not seen those before in person, and for them to get super excited about it, like, you can't help but not. It's infectious. You know?
He re-sparked my yellow rat love, dude. Like us taking the pictures of the yellow rat and just looking at this yellow rat so close. I'm like, dude, I see these all the freaking time, and it's like I have one, and now I'm like, I look at it every day. I'm like, dude, this thing looks so sick. Gosh,
that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
And it's cool to see firsthand too, like people seeing these for the first time.
Yeah, just throwing them on the lifers and seeing
it's weird. Yeah,
so sick.
Yeah, and I know you're like me. You got a lot of Florida species on the list, but you still need a lot more, right?
Oh yeah, I got a lot to click off.
I feel like of everyone of all the herpers in the Southeast that I know, with the exception of maybe KJ, I think Preston's the closest at finishing the list, right? I mean, I think it's crazy that, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but I think it's crazy too, because despite him almost having finished the list, if not finished it, the dude still gets stoked about finding the most random ass thing.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how much stuff he's found out here. I know he's lived out here for a while, so I know he's found a bunch, but
yeah,
we didn't talk about his whole hit list.
That's cool.
I have started keeping track on my phone, like on my memo app, like
you
writing down the species just here on Ladies Island that I've seen. And I went through that, and I've seen a lot. Like, after seeing the actual list of not just herps, but or reptiles, but also like amphibians and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And I mean, there's a ton of species that I also haven't seen, and those are the ones that I wonder if they're even here or not, if they've been extirpated from the island entirely. But you don't realize like how much you have seen around you until you sort of put it on the list, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, for sure. And
what are you smoking tonight?
I'm smoking the Gurkha Warlord.
Nicolas Cage.
Legit. What are you smoking?
So Raj gave me this Tatuaje La Riqueza. I've never had it before. I don't know what the blend is. It seems like it might be a San Andreas Maduro.
Okay.
Color looks right. Flavor seems there, but I don't know. I'm going to look it up here shortly.
Well, this is supposed to be a Connecticut Habano that's just Dominican. So we'll see. It's super oily, and I've been hanging on. I have like 2 or 3 of them. I've been hanging on to them for a while. And like I was saying last week, I'm trying to go through the yellowy cellophane, the good aged cellophane. And this one looked prime, and I've been on a Gurkha kick because I know how much of a fan of them you are. And sparking it up.
Undercrown Maduros are awesome, Harry. Don't discount undercrowns. That's a fantastic smoke. I don't know about this being a San Andreas Maduro though, because this is awfully it's very tame for a Tatuaje. Usually Tatuajes are pretty pretty in your face flavor wise, and this one is surprisingly mellow. So I'm actually starting to wonder if this is maybe a broadleaf. If I just list all the different wrappers, I'm bound to be right on one of them. So
just say everything on it.
that's right. And then when you look it up, you're like, I was right.
Yeah.
You guessed correctly.
Did he read us the scam code? What the hell? Hey, dude, I actually ended up getting a lifer out of the Aiden come over, so he was definitely a lucky charm. Have you guys ever seen a Florida worm lizard?
No, and that's awesome.
Yeah, alien,
alien,
dude. It was crazy. I've never seen one before. I've seen one like in the books that everyone's seen, but to see one in the flesh was crazy. And this thing was long. It was probably
how did you
almost
find it?
like
long.
Dude, it's in my backyard. In my backyard. We flipped it under a bunch of stuff that I have set up for my dogs.
That's awesome.
And Preston was looking for some more dusky millipedes. I was like, let's go flip this stuff. Sure enough, there was an alien underneath it.
That's wild, man. That's wild. And I heard they have a nasty bite. Is that true?
Dude, it bit. That's what I told him. It was trying to bite me. It was trying to bite my finger. I could feel it.
Yeah.
And you could see the little tongue flicking out and everything. It was weird.
So did it actually bite you or not?
I didn't let it. I could feel it trying to go out my finger, and I was like, okay, we need to put this guy somewhere.
That's awesome. That's so wild. Cool, man.
Very weird.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I've seen pictures of them, but I've never seen one.
A lot bigger than I thought, that's for sure.
You got to wonder how many of those are in the ground, like right underneath your feet, pretty much at any given time if you're out and about, you know?
Seriously.
I think they're rarer than you think, man. I mean, fossorial stuff is already hard, and that I think the conditions got to be perfect for them, where it's got to be like a higher elevation, loomy, sandy soil that's not necessarily palmetto head, but not necessarily pine tree habitat. You know, I mean, what's your yard like?
Basically what you just described.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
The ideal conditions.
I'm like, oh shit. Well, you're checking off everything that my backyard is already then.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's awesome.
What about those? Have you seen any of those? They were king snakes. I don't know if they still are or not, but those long-tailed.
So me and my buddy were literally just messaging about that today. We're going to try to go hit Brooksville soon because he's got a spot, and I know of a couple of roads where they've been found. So there's a couple of areas we can maybe go out and do a little footwork, but I definitely want to go try to find those. That's been a lifer and a target for a long time, man.
That has to be one of the rarest species in the country.
That and the South Florida mole king, I would say, would probably be the two rarest snakes in Florida.
Yeah. And I think and let's not talk about the Highlands rainbow.
Yes, there's that. Which there's been a couple sightings in the last couple of years, which is awesome and nice. Out in the
but now what's the bounty? Because none of those people got the bounty.
I don't even know, to be honest with you.
I think it's like if you find one alive,
photograph it and document it,
and you can prove that you caught it in Highlands County, the state will give you like 10 grand or something.
No,
some crazy bounty. Yeah, but it's got to be alive, and you have to be able to prove that it was in Highlands County, which is damn near impossible. Just video, GPS,
geolocation.
Yeah, geotag.
A couple screenshots with you holding your location on your phone and the snake with your buddy taking a picture.
Just taking a video and like somebody shows their Garmin or something, you know, who knows? But
take it next to the sign of that.
Yeah, no, there was my late mentor was a huge Mole King fan, and he actually had captive bred ones that were Dade County, like West Dade County, Doral kind of area, and they passed away. But he always said that they're completely extirpated because of human development and human encroachment and everything. And then they've been finding them in like areas that were developed and then built back up. So like they're not extinct, but I think it's probably the rarest thing next to that rainbow.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's what my buddy we were talking about today is just all the development and habitat loss and how it's been so hard, and all this stuff that used to be a normalcy in my area is now like such a hard thing to find now, and it's freaking sad as all heck, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus, that's a big house spider.
Don't even talk about spiders, man. Aiden and Preston had me walking out in the swamp the first night they got here because they wanted to go peeking around. And the amount of spiders that were crawling around, dude, I felt like I was in Harry Potter, dog.
So I looked this up and I was right. It's a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro. It's delicious. It is a very good cigar.
So let's go back to that worm lizard. Where was it, and what time of day, and what, like, where were you? I mean, obviously it's your yard, but I didn't know if it was like a tin, was it carpet, was it wood?
So it's wood. It's the big electric company wood spools that they use for the 1,000 rolls of wire, 1,000
Yeah.
rolls of wire.
Yeah, table spool.
Yeah, a bunch of different sizes of those. We kind of just got them stacked up so their dogs can run up and down them.
Mhm.
So they're just kind of all next to each other. So we just started flipping those individually. But I want to say it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was probably in the high 80s temperature wise. And underneath the wood was surprisingly dry.
Really?
To the point where there was a little bit of moisture in the soil, but it wasn't wet, if that makes sense. Like it could little tacky, but it was dry.
It was still, the soil was still crumbly.
Yeah,
still
yeah.
sandy,
It was like crumbly, but it was like it crumbled. It was wet, but it was getting to that crumbly stage where it was still holding shape because he tunneled. I yelled out to Preston, I'm like, grab that. And he's like, what? Because it sucked its head back in. And then 10 inches away, all of a sudden its tail poked out. And then he finally saw it. And then he just scooped up the handful with it. And we were just like, what is this thing? And I was like, I've seen that in a book. And he's like, I've seen that before. And then we started looking it up. And we were like, holy crap. This thing's rare as heck, man. And it's basically endemic to Florida, other than one other record where it was found in a southern Georgia county. So there's really not much info on them, man.
Yeah, it's super awesome, man. Super awesome. And that makes sense. Like when I flip, because we have those spools out by me that people just like abandon on the side of the road and stuff. And when you flip them over by me, it's just a swampy, yucky mess that's just nothing but earthworms and fire ants. And you expect it to be overly damp. But if you've got that right, perfect sandy, loomy soil that's not palmetto head, that's not, pine tree habitat, it's awesome. I'm super jealous, man. It's so freaking cool.
I want to show them, but I'm afraid YouTube will flag us because these things look super phallic.
They are rather phallic. They are really phallic. Now let me ask you this: did yours have pronounced like digits or no?
Dude, I don't know the adult size, but I would have to guess that this was a full-grown adult. This thing was.
How long was it?
I'd say 8 to 10 inches long.
Oh, see, I thought they got bigger than that.
Then maybe it was only a subadult, but you could see every individual scoot all the way, and you could see the little roughness on the head.
Yeah,
and I mean, you could see every detail to it. It was big enough to where you could see every detail to it, but still, obviously, being a little critter. It was probably as thick as a pencil.
Nice.
That is straight up a dick with some legs attached to it,
bro. And we tried looking. You couldn't see the legs on it. We were trying to see the legs with our eyes. We couldn't see them with our eyes.
That's what I was saying. Is I know a lot of people that find them if they do get to see the legs themselves, they're missing a leg or they're missing digits to their toes or whatever, and it's from just fighting and living and surviving.
So maybe this one lost its limbs then because we couldn't find a limb on it.
Little bastard's got some teeth on him.
Yeah, dude, I yelled at the boys. I was like, it's trying to bite me. And they're like, what? And then you could see it opening its mouth and flicking its tongue a little bit.
Wow, I'm looking at some pictures. It's crazy. Those make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You pulling up a picture?
So Aiden
like
actually,
YouTube will straight up.
No,
Shut
we're
it
saying it's a lizard.
Aiden actually caught a Brimini blind snake. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
So he caught one of those, which obviously we've seen a million of them. He just wanted to get some good photos of one, and it regurgitated 10 ant eggs onto his hand.
That's crazy.
That was a chirpy experience that I've never seen before.
So it looks like I got my worm lizards mixed up. It looks like the Florida ones, I guess, don't have legs.
Okay.
Because there's other species that are larger and have like front legs with fingers.
Yeah,
And
that's what we looked for, and we couldn't find any.
yeah, I'm trying to pull up some info now. The problem is that most of the stuff that you find on the net is for like little kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, look what I found in my backyard, And the skull structure is crazy, right?
And you could
As much
see
as
it,
they
yeah.
should not be shown to children. Yeah, I mean, look at that, dude.
Straight up alien.
Yeah, dude, it's the chest burster thing.
Yeah. Like
1000%.
that's what comes out of you.
Yeah, the internet's saying 7 to 12 inches is average adult length.
Okay, so I would say this one was about anywhere from, I'd say probably about 9 inches. We'll go safe
Okay.
for 9.
And yes, the Florida species does not have limbs.
Definitely.
So like that one there, I'm pretty sure that's Australian.
That's
one
Mexican.
is Mexican. Okay.
Mexican mole lizard. I am very concerned to keep scrolling out of fear of what might pop up.
The bigger picture that's blown up on the left looks very disturbing.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I'm very envious.
It was just cool to get a lifer out of the whole thing, just because I knew we were in my area. So I was like, everything we're going to catch, I've already seen it. But
yeah,
we also, I threw Aiden across my car. He almost went to the windshield. We went road cruising on a dirt road, and we were starting to give up. So I was like, all right, we'll just haul back to the house. And I got going up to about 50, 60 miles an hour. And I swear on the book, man, a Scarlet King was coming out of the shoulder. So I just immediately yell SK and rip the brakes. Preston goes flying into the dash. Aiden hits the seats. We all jump out of the car. We're running around. We're shining lights everywhere. Couldn't find it.
Damn.
So it was a
belt jack.
But yeah, it was like, I might have delirialized the boys, and we slid like 10 feet, e-braking. Might have been probably like 25 feet.
That's awesome.
A little annoying to lose that, man. That would have been awesome to get him that one.
That would be cool, man. That'd be very cool.
12 inches sounds more than average.
All right, keeping it on track. So you said it was in the afternoon. It was hot. Had it rained yet or no?
So no, it didn't rain. It didn't rain at all this weekend. So
it was dry.
We were wanting some rain, and it was dry, man. Yeah, I don't know what conditions I would. It blows me away that I would find that dry and that in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Well, I feel like because they're lizards and they don't have a slime coat per se, or they don't have really smooth scales like you'd find a mud snake or a rainbow or something like that, or even a coral snake. I feel like they don't want that wet, damp earth.
Yeah.
I also feel like it has something to do with them being subterranean and being able to burrow through stuff. Because I feel like if it's too damp or it's too compact, there's not enough oxygenation in that luminous, and it's difficult for them to actually burrow and like make their tunnels and whatnot. So I've looked, man. I've really looked. I never get up in your neck of the woods to do it,
Yeah, man. If you do, let me know. We'll hit some spots for sure.
Yeah, there's supposed to be some on my coast that is about 2 hours north of me, but you got to go to like the natural areas on the beach and root around in the.
That's weird. It's like those geckos that they have in the coral banks.
Where's that at?
I don't remember. We were talking about it a couple weeks ago, but there's a stretch.
Is that the little micro geckos?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I
there
think
he
I know
is.
what
Phil's
you're
back.
talking about.
I made it. I survived.
Yay.
Yay.
I don't remember which species of gecko those were, but Phil, do you remember?
What were we talking about? I was frozen.
Micro geckos.
Those geckos in the coral banks. that they were trying
Spirodactylus.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spirodactylus. Florida reef gecko.
Yeah.
Love those little boogers. I've yet to find one by me. I know exactly where they are, but again, it's tough to get there because you got to be crafty. So, not breaking the law, just crafty. So,
by boat.
well,
Like a Navy SEAL.
but by boat or bribe.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, I know your neighborhood is a hoity-toity gated community, but you know, here's $20, man. Let me just drive around the street, you know, real quick.
Yeah. One lap.
Oh man.
You dress up like the security guards and just walk right in.
Yeah.
A shift change.
That's right.
No one says no to a guy in a safety vest.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. We're not doing anything bad. We're not like going in people's houses or anything. Just want to, you know, look at the beach a little bit.
We're looking for lizards, man.
Yeah.
We're sunbathing up as close to the road as possible.
At midnight.
Moon bathing.
Yeah, we're moon bathing. That's good.
The more I see though of like what Harry finds and stuff, the more I'm becoming convinced that like that Central Florida area is kind of the spot to go.
Yeah. It's because it's the least inhabited. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say northeast of me is like all freaking great, all the way up until Harry's Range. I mean, you could knock off a lot of species if you you really just got to put in the time at the right time.
Yeah.
Just seeing like the stuff that he's come across just within the last couple, weeks and months and stuff. It's, if I want to see an Eastern Diamondback, like that's probably going to be one of the first places I go is to Harry's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's seen, more than I ever have and probably ever will. So.
See, the problem is I feel like, and maybe I'm biased because I'm addicted to them, but if you find a Scarlet King in South Florida, it's a Scarlet King. If you find a Scarlet King by Sky's house, it's a Scarlet King. If you find one up by in the Panhandle, it's a Scarlet King. But the Eastern Diamondbacks look completely different. And I feel like that's one of those things where, you get the Eastern Diamondbacks so you can say that you've seen one, you've enjoyed it, it's a wonderful experience, you've ticked it off your list, as Nipper would say. But now you got to find the Barrier Island ones on the West Coast. You got to find the silver ones in the Keys. You got to find the high yellow ones in Big Cypress. They're so different and so variable and so incredible, each on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want to get Bruce Means on because I after that theory that you've talked about, with relocating Eastern Diamondbacks and how each sort of population seems to be more catered to the environment that you're finding them in. If there really is something to that, and if he's noticed that because he's like the Diamondback guy.
Yeah, and I think that it would be awesome to have him on. I mean, talk about a wide assortment of animals that he's been privy to. But I also love that there was I don't know if it was a paper or a journal that came out basically saying that the Eastern Diamondback is arguably the most diverse ecosystem-wise of any snake species or any reptile species, simply because it can live in the swamp, it can live in the higher sandy soil, it can live in drier pastures and prairies, and it's incredible.
Yeah, dude, those have literally been found in the swamps next to water moccasins, up in the pine sand rolling hills with all the pine snakes and everything. And then, like you're saying, in some kind of dense foresty pine areas with some grass, it's like they're thriving.
Yeah. Or dude, like barrier islands in the Keys that have no fresh water.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Surviving off rain and rabbits.
Yeah, rain and rabbits. That's it.
Well, even, I mean, just the fact that a species that size can survive as well as it has. Because, I mean, there's a reason we don't see, like, megafauna anymore. You know, at least there used to be more of it than what we have now. And it's because, like, the environment changed to where they just weren't compatible anymore. And you would think, given that it's such a large species of snake and rattlesnake at that, and as much as they're killed off as soon as people see them, I know like their populations pretty much across their range are in pretty rough shape, but it's kind of surprising that they're not in worse shape than they are, I would think.
Yeah, and I also feel like the animals that we can get a bead on, that we can get numbers on, whether it be herpers or biologists or what have you, they're always going to be skewed in the snake's favor, simply because Florida, like Texas, has a crap load of private property. And most of that property, with the exception of like super dense agriculture, like vegetable and fruit agriculture, it's just cattle pasture. So they're just living, man. They're just chilling. Cows don't care, you know? And so the like if they did a head count and they said, okay, there's 10,000 in Schuyler County, well, there's probably 20 or 30,000 because they can't get access to check all that private property. You know what I mean? So I mean the Collier, the family that the county of Collier is named after, I think they own, God, I don't even know. It's like 4.6 million acres collectively across South Florida. And that's not just in their family named county. You know what I mean? And most of it's just cattle land that they lease out to ranchers. So there's a ton of space for a lot of these animals like Easterns to continue to thrive, but we don't necessarily get to see it or enjoy it because it's so restricted. At least that's my thought process.
But it also seems that on the, like in the area where they are being studied, like if there's a healthy population of them, like that population is really healthy. Like Paris Island here, like Paris Island, that's one of the marine recruiting depots, one of two in the country here in Beaufort. And I can say that because you're not getting on that island. They study them out there, and like that is probably in the area that I'm aware of the healthiest population of diamondbacks, just in terms of numbers. And a lot of that, I have no doubt, is attributed to the fact that like they're just left alone.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of that island that isn't developed. It's all woods, but they also do a lot of training and stuff out there. So there's a reason that it's like that. And someone was smart enough to see that diamondbacks have established themselves there well. And I think they're like, let's take this opportunity to like study and track some of them and things like that instead of, try and get rid of them.
For sure.
And Jack said, why have canebrakes done so well then when Eastern Diamondbacks have suffered? And I mean, Harry said bigger range, and I would agree with that. I think you see canebrakes / timbers have definitely adapted more to the appropriate environments, because you go up north and, they're darker animals and they're inhabiting different areas than what you see with the stuff that we have down here on the coast. The landscape's vastly different. They've migrated slowly over the last however many millennia and adapted well to it. So, and maybe there's a reproduction factor there too. Like maybe Horridus just have bigger litters, or they reproduce more frequently than Eastern Diamondbacks do. Because I really don't see even your biggest Eastern Diamondback. I don't see that if it's a female. I don't see them reproducing year after year. Like to me, it seems like that would be something that I would expect to have reproducing like every other year, maybe, like at most. So who knows?
Yeah, I think it also comes down to we were talking about the terrain, and the Easterns obviously have the versatility to go wherever they can and thrive, right? But I feel like with the lowland canebrakes, as we'll call them, you still have a ton of agricultural land, whether it be ranches or orchards or what have you, and then state land as well, wildlife management areas, whatever. And the northern or the higher altitude timbers, now you're talking about areas that may not be developable. Yeah. So sides of mountains, sides of foothills, like no one's.
No.
Meh.
Meh. That's kind of how I feel. I almost feel like canebrakes have a lot more, and timbers. They have a lot more area and habitat to hide.
Yeah.
The rocks and the mountains, and Florida's got a bunch of roads cut everywhere through it. So if someone's not shooting it on their own property, they're running it over.
Phil's back. You didn't cut out, buddy.
He's here. He's here.
It didn't drop you.
Yep, I'm here. So yeah, that was, you get the gist of it. So what did I miss before I got on?
What about like pygmies though?
What about pygmies?
There's pygmies everywhere down there where Phil's at. I've never seen a pygmy up here.
There is not pygmies everywhere by me. I have to go to specific habitat.
How has Casey Cannon been trying to like take a picture of one with one sitting right between his feet that I didn't even know about? You still see more pygmies than I've ever seen.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I go specifically to spots that I know they're at. You know what I mean? If you look at, okay, you can go to any neighborhood in South Florida and you can find a black racer. You're not going to find a pygmy. You're not. You have to go into naturalist areas or you have to go into agricultural areas. They're just not here. Human development and encroachment has wrecked them for a suburban species. It just doesn't exist.
Well, I don't have any pygmy zones here then, if that's the case.
We tried to hopefully get a pygmy. We targeted a couple of areas for it, and we had all the habitat, had everything lined up, and still couldn't turn one up, man. It sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Savannah River site got to break in. Yeah, okay. No, thank you. I don't think anybody even knows what they even do at the Savannah River site, but there's signs all over the road as you drive through that say, "Don't stop."
What did they do?
Something, I think nuclear related, and I'm not entirely positive.
Shoot, you might find a new morph.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. That's crazy you mentioned that because we have Turkey Point down by me in Miami, and they own a crap load of land for that power plant. And there are access roads that are paved and dirt, and there are diamondbacks on those access roads. And some of them are totally public, and it's a long shortcut if you catch my drift. Some of them you're going to find a bunch of soldiers with machine guns saying, "What are you doing?" You know. But that's on one of my herp trip missions that it's to go down there and hit those service roads because there's supposed to be some crazy looking diamonds.
They store nuclear waste, Jack says. There we go. And I don't even know. It's funny that they call it the Savannah River site because it's in the complete opposite direction of Savannah.
Really?
Yeah. Like to go upstate towards Athens and Augusta, you have to go through the river site. Savannah's at the bottom of the
right.
I don't know. But that is like some prime real estate, though. Man, every time I drive through that thing, I'm like, God, if I could just put on like a ghillie suit or something and just go look around. I'm sure like an infrared drone or something will probably fly around and find me, and I'll go to Guantanamo Bay or something. But
you'd be crawling through the bushes in your ghillie suit, and all of a sudden a drone would just drop down next to your head and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. And then I just play dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I think that there are some species that aren't on Ladies Island. It's because I've been here, like living on the island for going on 20 years, and I've never seen a DOR pygmy, never seen a DOR timber, canebrake, whatever you want to call them. Never seen a DOR eastern. There's a handful of species that I've never seen out here, and I would think that after being here so long and having driven around on so many roads and gone through all these new subdivisions not long after they've been built, that like if they were here, I would see signs that they were here.
I mean, it could be anything, man. It could just be that they aren't there. You know what I mean? There are countless islands off the coast of by me and by Skylar too that have species found on the mainland, and then islands right next to it that don't. It's just luck of the draw. One island was not as good as the other. You know, who knows?
I don't like it. But watch, me and Jake will go and cruise St. Helena or something, and we'll probably find all that stuff.
But will you find a worm lizard?
Probably not.
I'm super envious.
It tripped me out, dude. I was not expecting that ever.
Yeah.
Smitty, you do got to come down though, so we can herp around.
Yeah. I think I've like Chaz has already been talking about next year's trip. And I know like Jake and I keep talking about going out to the WMA that he likes to go to, and it just hasn't happened yet. He's been busy, so it's starting to get to that point though where it's going to start getting too hot to really go out and do any of it. So
it's about time for berm season, is what it's about time for. Road cruising in South Florida. I need to meet up with you, Phil. We need to put in some work.
Well, you want to find pythons? I'm not your guy.
I'm going to take you to find them. Is what I'm going to do.
He's going to take you to your spots so you can find berms.
I welcome it. I welcome it.
We're doing it.
Okay. I'm with it. I'm with it.
I almost cried on my first one, bro. When are you ever going to find a wild python?
Yeah, that's true.
In America.
Yeah, that's very true.
Are you going to find wild chameleons?
I'm not going there anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, I ain't doing that anymore. I told everyone I'm good on the chameleon front.
Yeah.
That's too dangerous.
Way too dangerous.
Was it that? That was the one where someone got shot?
Yeah. A series of unfortunate events that ended in someone that had nothing to do with it losing their life. So
crazy.
Yeah.
That was with a group of people you know?
Friends of friends.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I've only been chased out. I've never been shot at, but I've had friends that were shot at. So that's enough for me. Being chased was scary enough.
Yeah. That's why I'm not big on trespassing. So I actually got there's an app called OnX Maps, and it's meant for hunters and outdoorsmen alike, but it's an annual subscription and you can buy different plans for what you intend to do. But what it does is it shows you not only the property lines, but it shows you the easements and the boundaries. And it also tells you who owns the property. So some of them have contact information, some of them don't. In fact, I'll say most of them don't. But if you really want to do your digging and do your due diligence, if it was owned by, Skylar Snakes Incorporated out of Frankfurt, Germany, you at least have a way to start looking as to how to contact the landowner and try and gain legitimate access. So, but it is super helpful because there is a lot of state land in Florida that is leased by private people. So if you're caught there during
how does that work?
Right. So if you're caught there by Fish and Wildlife or by property management out of a hunting season, and they say, okay, the hunting season for this WMA or this.
Damn it.
Damn.
Stop talking, Phil. You froze. I can tell he's still there because he mutes his mic.
Yeah, you're right.
It's probably as he's like cursing Comcast again or whoever it is he's using.
Screaming to the gods.
His neighbors are going, the crazy guy's on his porch screaming at his computer again.
Yeah. Every Monday, this guy
Every Monday night, this guy's screaming at his computer.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm as far as there you go. Hey.
I heard you say about how you could see me mute my mic.
Yeah, we were talking about how your neighbors probably hear you every Monday night yelling at your computer on your back porch.
Dude, it's something with Xfinity, man. I thought it was I think it was StreamYard, but then they fixed it.
Now they've traded. Yeah.
Now it's legit Xfinity. What were we talking about now?
herping on leased.
WMAs and leased property.
Oh yeah. So let's say the state designation for the WMA to hunt deer is January 1st to February 30th, right? 2 months, okay, or 28th, excuse me. If you're there in March and there's no hunting, they're going to be like, "What you doing, bud? Yep, what are you doing?" And a lot of times you say, "Oh, I'm photographing birds, or I'm photographing snakes, or looking for turtles."
They say, "Where's your camera?" And you're like, "Oh, I forgot it."
Well, that's why you keep a lot of herp pictures on your phone, right?
Yeah, you pull right here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an iPhone photographer. It's
Yeah,
a real
so-
thing.
So there are several of us that have contacted landowners to say, hey, can we still gain access, what have you? But it's crazy because some of that area that's owned by private corporations or individuals that's leased to the state, there's easements that you can gain access to other areas despite it not being hunting season, so on and so forth. So it does do good to have some due diligence in finding land ownership. It's just not easy like it used to be in the 60s, where you could knock on the farmer's door and say, hey man, can I not mess up your property? I feel like back in the day, they were concerned with you leaving trash or leaving a gate open for cattle to escape. I feel like nowadays they're concerned that you're going to break your ankle and sue them. So
yeah, liability is the biggest thing, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
My parents had a neighbor that lived like 2 lots over from them, and I remember as a kid, I'd asked. It was a guy, he owned a land, like one of the biggest landscaping companies in the county, and so he was loaded, and I'd ask him if I could look around his property for snakes. And he was always like, no, not today, man. Now, like looking back, it was 1,000% because he was like, this kid's gonna get bit, and I'm gonna have to pay a lot of money for it. So
yeah, I'll be paying for him for the rest of his life.
But that's a tough one to navigate too, because like you think about places like the Hunt Club, like Okeechobee Hunt Club, that was more or less pillaged for a really long time of all its corn snakes, and the people that own that land, if they're still alive, they like herpers kind of left a bad taste in their mouth in that regard. And so I feel like it'd be hard, and this may not be the case because there may be places out there now that aren't as locked down, but I think there was a point, whether that's still the case or not, where if you went and asked to go look for snakes, people tell you to fuck off.
Harry said just throw on your collared shirt and your boots and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I got a Carhartt hat on. I'm one of you.
Yeah, I'm one of you, brother.
It's also interesting how you can lose access because of non-herpers. So I have friends from my work who own probably like 3,000 acres in primo diamondback territory, right? About an hour north of me. And I've been told, look, here's the gate combination, close the gate behind you, have fun, knock yourself out. But I'm very modest about right time, right place, and I know they were doing some like construction to put like a little farmhouse there. So I figured, you know what, let me wait for them to do that. They were doing some hunting. I said, let me wait for hunting season to kind of slow down. I said, once it gets into summer, I'll reach out and say, hey man, is this so cool if I go look for snakes? And I know they're going to say yes. Well, I found out from a friend of a friend that some local good old boys, I guess, learned the gate combination from a construction worker or something.
You're good. You're still there.
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
You said freeze up. So
you froze up for a half a second, but you're good.
Oh, okay, good. Perfect. All right.
They found the combination.
And they trashed the place. Oh. They trashed it. So like now I don't even want to ask them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, it's a shame.
And I don't understand, just from like a politeness standpoint, like when we were camping at Oconee, it's like we left that place pretty much just as spotless as when we found it. But there was
a pile of wood for him.
Yeah, perfectly good firewood. But walking through there, like you could tell people have been out there shooting, because there's busted up watermelons and shells everywhere, and it's like, really, like y'all couldn't take 5 minutes and pick this stuff up. So I'm super weird about it. It's a respect thing, you're in somebody else's house.
Absolutely.
can't be like Rick James with the muddy boots.
Yeah, man. I mean, we used to when we shot on private property and it was just shooting the tree lines or shooting at a dirt pile or something, putting targets in the dirt pile. We would get the blue tarps and lay down blue tarps because we didn't want to leave the brass there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those shell casings and everything, like it's just a mess, man. You can pick up after yourself, you know. They've been gracious enough to grant you access to use and enjoy their area. The least you could do is police yourself, you know.
Yeah. And there we go. Daryl said it because Daryl's been down that way in the hunt club, and he said it's still locked down. You can only cruise the road through the property that are county roads. Can't go onto the actual hunt club land. They try their best to monitor it. And I have a hard time believing that the corn snake boom, you know, however many decades ago, that's still a direct result of that. And reading Michael Berger's book, you know, The Dragon Traders, where he talks about that, and it sounds like after all that had kind of happened, you know, the people that were owning the land and stuff there still were like, never again. And I think it was actually for the same reason that Phil was talking about, like it just that the place had been trashed. You know, it people weren't respecting it, and you know, not making it easy to be able to come back. You know, regardless of if you were involved or not.
Phil's taking the longest drag ever.
Yeah.
I never understood that, man. It's like if you get granted access to somewhere, you want to come back. Don't even leave. Just leave your footprints. That's it. That's what all these national park trails say anyways. Leave nothing but your footprints. Come on now.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Daryl, man, next time you're down this way, we gotta go cruise out there. I keep meaning to, it just hasn't happened. Been too busy hanging out with these other fools.
I was hoping we would have got a corn this weekend, considering how common they are in my area. And Aiden really wanted to get one before he left, and we couldn't make it happen, man. I'm sure I'll see one this week now, dead on my freaking road or something. As like we're still here.
Don't you forget.
Yeah. Don't forget.
He did pretty good, though. I think he found a lot of stuff.
Yeah, dude. But collectively, from the time he got here till this past weekend, he got a crap ton of animals.
Am I back?
You're back.
All right. You know, I never lost you guys the whole time.
We could see you going in and out the whole time.
Oh, man. What a shame. Well, I know we're probably past the conversation of trashing private property, but when people think like, oh, trashing it, they think like, oh, we left some cups or we left a garbage bag or something. People will straight up go on private property and abandon a boat or like drive their bombed out tractor to like some yard and just dump it there and leave it there. And there's no like registration or nothing on it because they peeled all the plates off, you know.
It's an artificial reef situation, Phil. They're helping.
Yeah, an artificial reef in the middle of a cattle field.
An artificial reef.
Yeah, and not necessarily the book that shut down the whole Okatee thing, but he'd mentioned that the reason in the past that it had become such a sour sort of thing for the landowners was, you know, people camping and just trashing it. So yeah. It's a bummer. And the Okatee Hunt Club is 50,000 acres and owned by 12 families.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Best corn snakes in the world.
That's wild. That's wild.
So do you think in that whole 50,000 acres, they all are looking the same, or are they varying throughout that whole 50,000 acres? Because obviously it's just a distribution of locality, right? I mean,
yeah. No, I think because I've seen some stuff from sort of the surrounding area, and it all kind of has that classic Jasper kind of phenotype to it. It's not like strictly an Okatee Hunt Club thing, but just that general, general area. Because I've even had some stuff that, like, one of the corns that I have that came from like the other side, because there's this big river that splits the county in half, basically in north and south, and that's Broad River, and that thing's, I think, at least a mile wide. And I have a corn from my side of the Broad River that is very reminiscent of those Okatee Hunt Club with like the super thick borders and and things like that. So I don't, the hunt club thing, yeah, like it's a thing and there's a history behind it, but I also think you can find animals that are just as nice from the surrounding area. But there's a lot of variation still too. My Ladies Island stuff doesn't look much like the Okatee stuff really at all. But technically the same county, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like there's also a lot of what we have in our mind as Okatee that isn't really what was there or was removed from there because it's been Taylor line bred to be the quote unquote Okatee.
We talked about that on Corn Stars a while back. Like Okatee has become synonymous with normal.
Sure.
And it's really, I think, wild type is a better word for it.
Yeah, but even still, like, I mean, when I think wild type or I think normal, I don't think Okatee. I think of the corn that to me would be middle and North Florida up through the Carolinas, right? But when I think Okatee, I think of Okatee. I think of the stark contrast with the heavy black outlines, and the real rich, fiery orange and reds. But I still think that our textbook Okatee is not what they were yoinking out of there in the 70s or 80s.
I don't know, man. I've seen some pictures of some that were pretty damn close.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot of that, kind of like with the Loma Alta Bairds. You have Loma Altas, and then you have like generational Loma Altas that are just sort of an exaggerated form of
Sure.
what you'd see in the wild. But I've seen some from that area that were definitely just safety, like traffic cone orange with those dark black borders, and
wow.
it's definitely not a stretch to find one. I don't have any of those particular island corns that you're talking about, Patrick. Daryl does. I'm hoping to get some at some point soon. So eventually in the semi-near future.
That's awesome.
Because those, in my opinion, like that particular island locality is nicer than the hunt club stuff, just because it is much more of a redder, like deeper red color and less of the bright orange.
There's a guy that lives out here in Florida. His page on Instagram is Mario Goes Wild. He's got a picture of a corn snake that he caught in the Everglades. I'm trying to find it right now. It's one of the most crazy aberrant looking things I'd ever seen, man. It has the crazy dark borders that you would see in some Okatee stuff, but it's got the most aberrant pattern to go with it I'm trying to find it. I'll have to DM it to you. But that's what made me ask the question, because it's like, I feel like you could get that Okatee kind of look in different areas, obviously just not so consistent.
Yeah, and the Okatee stuff, I think it's that particular combination of that bright orange with the super thick borders. Because like there's plenty of other localities that I'm sure have thick borders, but they're a much darker, drabber colored animal.
Yeah.
And then you can have stuff that's super bright but doesn't really have the borders. Yeah, the South Mountain, North Carolina stuff is really nice. It's all awesome. South Carolina in this area I am biased, I will say that, but it is straight up the best corn snakes in the world. You cannot convince me otherwise.
I'll give you that, man. I'll definitely give you that.
It's a state pride thing, but oof.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely key species that are like, how do I phrase this? When I think chain kings, I think North Carolina. And not like just Outer because, stuff? Well, no, because I'm an Outer Banks junkie, man. That's probably one of, if not my favorite king snake. But when I think like true black and white chain kings, I just think of just North Carolina, coastal plains. Like that's what I think of. When I think corn snake, I think South Carolina. When I think copperhead, I think Georgia. Yeah. It's just, when I think timber, honestly, I think PA. I don't think New York.
I always think like upstate Georgia, like
For-
upstate.
For timber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because like those solid black ones. I
Yeah.
remember on the Southeastern Hot Herb Society website, there was a guy that did a write-up about a bite he got from a North Georgia timber. That thing was like straight black, had like silver eyes.
Wow.
Like that thing just looked like it just was just a badass looking horridus, man. And now anytime I think of timbers in particular, I think of that animal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Or that full melanistic one that Noah got, and I think it was North Georgia too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw him. That thing was insane, man. It was almost like purple in between the skin. It was crazy.
That's wild.
So yeah, when I think of Chain Kings, I think of Chesapeake stuff. I don't know, those Chesapeake, Virginia Chain Kings just have something
the Virginia
to 'em.
Kings are the chains are probably the best, man.
I like the ones we have down here because the banding for the the yellow or the white isn't nearly as thick. It's much more faint. But those Chesapeake ones, man, like you can see, like you could pick a Chesapeake out of a lineup, and I kind of like that. Like Chesapeakes just have those super thick white cream, bands, especially around the belly. And they're awesome.
That's cool. So let me ask you, Sky, do you have Everglades rats up your way or no?
We had the yellow rats. We don't get the Everglades. No, we don't
Okay.
get that bright orange phase.
Okay. Yeah, man, the past like 2 years I've been trying to find one, and Kasiki's been awesome. He gave me a female that he bred that is just turning into the best rat snake of all time. It's fire engine red. It's friendly. It's eats anything I put in front of it. Kudos to Kasiki for being a stand-up fella. But I'm trying to find her a boyfriend, and I've just been striking out, man. Striking out.
We need to go hit Big Cypress and just go do some road cruising,
Dude, I have been, man. It's tough. In fact, I only found one rat snake in all of 22 in Big Cypress, and it was a yellow rat that my cousin actually spotted it while we were road cruising on some of the dirt roads. And man, it's been tough, man. It's just been tough. I feel like agricultural pesticide has messed up a lot of things, and I feel like because of human encroachment, there's a lot of interbreeding with yellows. I feel like they're just washing themselves out unknowingly.
They are. It's weird though, because I've been on the levees one day and I've literally found normal yellow with some nice looking stripes on it. They weren't super bold, but you could see the stripes. Couple 100 yards down, we find an Everglades formed freaking bright orange one. It's just
Wow.
like that's what makes me think. It's like, what is the real difference? Is it's like because they're in the same area.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
After playing with those black rats up in Athens and stuff, I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me want at least one, but I don't need one.
You need a pair.
Dude, no, like Jake has some, so if I ever need to get that fixed, I'll just go over to Jake's and mess with his.
I will admit, staring those ones in the face that we had caught, or the one in the face that we caught, it was freaking awesome. Their head structure is just super cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a little bit different than the yellow rats, personally, but
I would agree. It's more retic-ish.
yeah,
for sure.
That's another taxonomic debate that I don't think should really be debated.
I agree.
It's just a mess, and I feel like it's only getting worse.
Sure.
Making them all the same, it ain't helping.
Well, I feel like as long as there's guys like us that still differentiate appropriately,
Defenders of the faith.
Yeah, defenders of the faith, then everything's fine.
Go Power Rangers!
Yep.
Get your hands off my obsolete complex.
I do enjoy saying Alleganensis, and I make my fiance say it every chance I get. I was like, babe, what species is this? She's like, I'm not saying it. I was like, come on, say it. I'm not saying it. Alleganensis.
I still don't really understand the whole greenish rat thing.
intergrade zone.
Is it integrate between the blacks and
the
yellows?
blacks and the yellows. I hear everyone argue about it, but I feel like it's hard to argue when you see one of those. You can't really. If I were to put one of those next to a yellow I find next to my house, if you say that they're exact same thing, I feel like.
Well, let me ask you this. So we refer to greenish in the intergrade zone, right? It's like the neutral zone in Star Trek, right? So if we take a black rat, or we take, how do I phrase this? It's supposed to be a black rat with a gray rat. Is that what this is? Makes
no, black rat with a yellow.
Black rat.
Okay. Rat. So if I go to that area, if I go to that intergrade zone, and I catch a black rat, and I take it home, and I catch a yellow from the same area, and I take that home, and I hybridize them together, do I make greenish?
I think someone needs to do it.
That's what I'm saying. That someone needs to do it. If they do that and it doesn't come out as a greenish rat, then they're liars.
Then it's purely just a locality look.
Yeah, exactly.
Difference.
Well, I remember seeing the paper that kind of lumped them all, and on the map they had that we had greenish rats here where I am, and we do not have black rats here. Like, we don't, flat out. Like, I've never seen one. I never will. Like, we have yellow rats.
Well, what was that one funky looking rat that Jake sent us that one day? Remember that big dark black looking mottled thing? Remember that was just a yellow?
Yeah,
it was just a dark gray yellow.
Like, the yellows we have here are not pretty. They're not the nice Florida yellows like that are super clean, like especially the ones here on the island, man. They're really not appealing to the eye. they're just kind of gross and grungy looking.
Mike says they have a lot of gray.
Well, I also, the way that I look at the greenish is the same way I look at those super crazy looking copperheads from Eastern Kentucky. You know what I'm talking about? Those funky alien looking gray and purple ones. No qualms whatsoever that is just a normal copperhead, but it looks trippy as hell. So I'd be interested to find someone who's ballsy enough to breed that to a normal southern, or maybe a normal northern, and see what the offspring looks like. Does it come out looking normal? Does it come out looking 50-50? Because technically I think those are still just southerns, right?
I would want to put those to a normal southern. The northerns aren't really anything to look at either.
Yeah.
You see what Daryl said in the chat?
He said, I don't agree with the intergrade zone for them. I've lived there for 13 years and never saw a straight black rat or yellow, only the greenish.
So it's got to be just a locality look then.
Yeah. Straight up phenotype.
Which I feel like that makes more sense, because how can you get Everglades, which is just a very... I feel like the whole Everglades zone, what is the difference between an Everglades king snake and an Everglades rat snake versus a rat snake and a king snake that you would find in the Okeechobee area? In all reality, there's not much difference other than the color, the Brooks eye or whatever, which is a very, very light colored king snake, but it's still a Florida king snake, in my opinion. It's just super light. And the Everglades rat snake, that's just the yellow rat snake that is a super oranged out, phenotype of that, which would, so you go from all this light stuff at the very tip of Florida where we have this super tropical spot to now we go to Central Florida where we're neotropical. So now we're getting just a little bit darker, and now we get a little bit colder in North Florida where we're going to need a little bit more black into their body. And we're getting that, what we're calling an intergrade zone, but that's just that gradual move up the continent.
Phenotypic gradient.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not a scientist, and I paint cars for a living, so don't take my word for shit.
Let me ask you, Sky, have you ever found an actual Brooks eye?
Yes.
Okay. Did you find it in Big Cypress?
Was it horrible?
It honestly was friendly. We picked it up, and it was a little flighty, but after that,
I don't believe you.
Chill.
See, that's the thing. If when you come down by me, that is on my list for sure. Like Burms would be cool. That would be cool. But I've never found a Brooks eye, and I need to. I need it for my soul.
Honestly, the only reason I found any of the stuff I did is because I've road cruised the Everglades basically the whole night, like a damn night owl for multiple weekends. And that was the only way I was able to tack that stuff on the list. You basically just got to be out there from the time the sun starts setting, and then when you see that sun coming up, you look over at your buddy and your eyes are crossed. And you're like, it's bedtime.
Yeah.
But you racked up 50 snakes over the night, so you're all stoked.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Damn. Got to get on it, man. I got to get on it.
We got to do it. I'm down. I've been slacking the last year and a half. So me and Jake Bratz, we've been talking about it. Preston's been talking about it. We all just need to do it, man. I'm so down for it.
Yeah.
Billy Hunt was just over. He said he's all about it. So
yeah, man, we'll put it together. We should get like an Airbnb in Everglades City as like a rally point and just, dude, eat at the Crab Shack and just chill.
Let's do
Oh,
it.
we just
I'm all for it.
camp out on airboats like real Floridians.
Because you don't camp out on an airboat. You get carried away by mosquitoes, bro.
That's part of the experience.
Oh, God. Ugh.
Yeah.
When are we
Let's
going
seriously
to
do
Uganda?
that, though.
Yeah, let's seriously do that.
I'm so about it.
What were you saying, Smitty?
When are we herping Uganda, man? Because I follow that account that does like the herping expeditions in
Oh,
Uganda.
dude, they got some
I
great
was
herping.
looking up pricing, and it's not as outrageous as I was thinking it would be.
Yeah, from what I gathered, the whole week-long trip there is the same exact price as airfare.
Yeah, roundabout.
Yeah.
See,
See,
some
look,
squams.
Harry's going to bring his boat down.
Harry has an airboat.
I don't know what kind of, does it go on water? I'm there.
Are people allowed to own airboats privately?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mother's got one.
Yeah. Call them blowboats.
Dude, one of my biggest Florida regrets is my buddy JT, who actually he just moved to Alaska. I gotta call him. He wound up he's a mechanic, and somebody gave him a small block Chevy. So he's like, man, what the hell am I gonna do with this engine? He's like, I'm gonna buy a fan boat. So he bought an aluminum hull, which was a horrible mistake. Painted it black, another horrible mistake, and he just shitty fab welded a frame. He bought a Grumman Piper prop from the salvage yard of the airport and stuck that sucker on there, and Chinese air pump or Chinese fuel pump and a American carburetor. And dude, we were booking.
Florida man.
Yeah. I mean, I think he spent like $1,200 in total for this airboat.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, man. So one of my biggest regrets is he sold it. I should have just bought it and just put it in a yard somewhere, paid the $50 a month to store it or whatever. But because dude, it was pretty awesome having an airboat at whim.
How many people get lost out there on airboats?
Not as many as you think, but it's not airboats that get lost. It's John boats that get lost. Because the dudes who own airboats, they know the waterways. They have paper maps.
Yeah.
They know the waterways. It's the same waterways that their grandpa took them, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was. It's the two guys who bought a small bass boat at Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's. They're like, we're going to go in the Everglades, and they get lost. They take the wrong waterway. They see some saw palmetto or some sawgrass that parted because a deer ran through it or a gator swam through it. They're like, oh, that's a side way. And they just get lost in the grass. That's what happens.
Next thing you know, water buffalo's walking by you.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh man,
Hey, y'all have those there?
There's a small population out there.
Really?
Yeah.
There's also
the berms. See those.
There's also a handful of bison that were on the Indian reservation and figured out that they could swim. And so they kind of mosey their way out. But I don't think the populations of either buffalo are big enough to call them invasive. It's just they're just like a handful, right? Yeah. And they're not really hurting anybody,
No.
Still want to go see them.
But what's crazy is the northernmost portion of the Everglades towards the East Coast is actually Loxahatchee National Reserve. It's federal now, and just like Big Cypress, back in the day, you could own parcels of land within it before it was a preserve. So there is a series of stilt houses out there, maybe 10 or 15 of them total, and they're family owned. So if you don't inherit that home from the family as people pass away and the estate gets carried on, the state absorbs the home. So they're literally priceless. So these guys, they throw these crazy like they have helipads out there and shit, and they'll throw these crazy parties with 15, 20 airboats full of people that come out there. They have like rack bedding and people just getting drunk and silly in the middle of nowhere. And I've been to a few of those parties, and I gotta be honest, man, it's scary as hell. Especially when they're like, all right, last fan boat going back for the night. Who's on it? And you're like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So, but equally awesome.
Sounds horrible.
It was. I was on a boat with like 6 or 7 girls, 2 drunk guys, one of which was driving the boat. I was sober, and I wound up having to get out into the chest height water and push the boat because he got it stuck because he had the trim tab pushed all the way down. And here I am trying to like move the trim tab with my hands, and I'm like, just give it a little gas, and that guy just floors it, and that prop spins around, and I almost lost my head. It was bad. It was a bad night. Yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Won't be doing that ever again. Well, I'm a grown up now, so it's different.
Yeah, he was only 10 at the time.
And we'll have Harry's boat.
Yeah, exactly. That'll
I feel
be
like
great.
it should be, if you live in South Florida, it should be a requirement that you have an airboat. Just because.
No. Mm-mm. I don't want other people having them. I have no idea what the hell they're doing.
Why not? Do people ever take them out like outside of the Everglades?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They take them like into like the salt water, like the ocean.
People are running like a normal boat up here.
Yeah.
They take them out in like Homosassa River out into the Gulf and everything.
Sure. Well, more, I would say more so on the Gulf side than the Atlantic side, just because the Atlantic side is way windier, way more boat traffic. The beaches have heavy restrictions. So, but yeah, and there's some crazy airboats, like double prop, like 10 seaters, like massive, like $100,000 airboats, crazy shit.
Like they're a propeller away from being an airplane, basically.
They're wings away from being an airplane.
Like it's gonna be one of those seaplanes.
Basically.
The amount of money spent and the actual operation of the vehicle, it might as well be a seaplane.
No joke. Are you trying to actively plan a trip to go to South America?
Not currently. I know like Costa Rica is pretty high on the list, but I think I want to go back to Texas before I do any of that.
Yeah, dude, I definitely want to do a Texas or an Arizona trip just to see some of that stuff, some Western America stuff again.
Yeah, I feel like we should do the West Texas trip again, like literally exactly the same way as we did it, but now we know like what we're doing and where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like I would really want to do that again. I had a lot of fun derping them cuts.
But we gotta have Stone there because he's just the master planner.
He is.
No one can pull it off the way Stone does.
No one.
Like the amount of detail and effort he puts into that like itinerary is.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how you do it, dude. Because I'd just be like, this is where we're gonna go. This is where we're gonna drive the next day. But he's like, we're going here, and then we're going here, and then we're going here. And then if we have time, we're going to go here, and then we're going back to the hotel. And then we're going to go here, and then we're going to go there. And then we're going to climb a ridiculous ass mountain. You're going to feel like you're going to die. You're almost going to get attacked by bears. It'll be good.
God, exaggerator.
That sounds like a herb trip.
It is exaggerated.
But he is being honest when he says like, okay, yeah, it's only going to take us 42.6 minutes to walk up this mountain, so we'll have plenty of time for lunch. Like it is very, very specific with Bobby Pebbles.
Bobby Pebbles.
Oh man,
I can see that helping though, because it sucks when you're trying to get somewhere and everyone's rushing around and you don't know the exact directions and stuff.
Sure.
We did that one time. We did that on Sunday morning a little bit. we were heading in the right way, but we're like freaking trying to make sure we're going to the right trailhead and all this stuff. And it was a trailhead that I haven't been to, and I told them I wanted to let them pick a spot, so it wasn't like me saying, "Hey, let's go here," and failing them. But it was cool. But yeah, having that everything pre-mapped out definitely saves some headaches. So
yeah, and I feel like you almost got it. I mean, I've been on herp trips where there was no planning, but I was led to believe there was. And like I flew across the country and I get there and it's like, well, we could go here and we could go there. But if you want to do this, we could just go here. And it's like, okay, let me go on iNaturalist. Let me go on Google Earth. Let me make some phone calls to some campsites. Let's figure out what the hell we're doing, you know. So
what are y'all's feelings on iNaturalist for that general sort of purpose? Because I feel like it's been weaponized more than anything else.
Skylar, you want to go?
Go ahead. I'm sure you got a better point than me.
Like, it is super helpful. Like, it is cool to be able to go and, like, if you're going to like a wildlife refuge, like me and Justin Olson did, last weekend, to be able to see, like, what have people seen there? Like, what can we know that stuff is there because people have seen it.
How many people do you feel upload, though, is my whole thing. Do you feel like it's super accurate? Like, how many people do you know that upload? Because I feel like I only know a handful of people that even upload what they see and catch. And
so that's my problem. So I love iNaturalist. I think it is freaking amazing. I would love to just social media the fuck out of it for myself and just post every single fucking thing I ever find, but I can't because I know it's going to be exploited. So I don't. And I have done the obscure thing, like where you list it as obscured so that they can't see exactly where it was. But I almost don't even want to do that because it's just kind of pointless. But I do love it. And I do think that it is a very accurate representation of what is shown there because the people that are posting are not herpers.
Right.
They're birders, they're naturalists, they're joggers. You know what I mean? And I feel like that in itself is super helpful to guys like us that want to expand it more. So is there Diamondbacks in my area? Not on iNaturalist, but if some hiker or some jogger or some soccer mom pushing a stroller through the park saw one, well, now I know that there is. You see what I'm saying?
No, I 100% agree. It's great for like, all right, what's in the area? Has anyone spotted anything? I just didn't know, like how serious can you really take it?
And I feel like there are people that do take it very seriously and they all do the obscured thing or they just don't care and they just post it. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what, it has been extremely beneficial to not only herping, but to my captive husbandry as well. Because now I can see what the habitat looks like. I can see exactly, like, we all joke about, okay, did the snake really come from Cairo or is that just the port that it flew out of? You know what I mean? Well, okay, so now I know that they are not in Cairo proper because it's a freaking city, but 32 miles southeast, they are there. And there happens to be a weather station there. So now I can get weather from where they're supposed to be. You see where I'm driving with this?
No, yeah, 100%.
So I absolutely love it for that capacity.
100%.
And with the exception of like endangered stuff like Willard Eye or stuff like if I ever found an indigo, I would not do it, because of what it is. But if I'm in a WMA and it's public property, it's there for us, the American public, to use as our American right. It's Justin owns a piece, I own a piece, Skylar owns a piece. Okay. If I put a corn snake on there, I put a corn snake on there. You know what I mean? I'd almost rather put the corn snake on the WMA map, show exactly where I got it, than have somebody just run it over. Does that make sense? Am I thinking too deep into that?
Just to kind of give the awareness.
Not even the awareness. Like maybe that one night that the herper takes his kid out or takes her kid out, right? And they were looking for corn snakes because they saw that I put a corn snake on that ping, and they pulled 4 corn snakes off the road. Even if they kept them, that's 4 corn snakes that didn't get squished, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like the only negative is the weaponizing of it, of knowing people who are targeting and collecting. And
right.
other than that, obviously, every point you said, I agree with and use it for the same things.
Now, I do know that there is, I've personally witnessed, and this is a rumor that it is a conspiracy theory that I fully put the tinfoil hat on, that the moderators of iNaturalist internationally will either remove, obscure, or completely shadow certain posts, and they do it for particular species. So I heard rumor that they did it for tigers. I heard rumor that they did it for some of those the dwarf rhinos in Sumatra. And then I saw one with eastern indigos in Florida, where there was some kind of college professor or somebody who had put an obscured hit right on this one portion on the northwest side of Lake Okeechobee. And I was like, man, this is great. And like, I took notes on it because I was like, I'm going to go herp there. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I'm going to go herp there. And then I went back to show someone like a month later, and they were all gone. And I don't know if that person removed them or if iNaturalist removed them, but the same way that Instagram shadow bans people because for whatever reason, there is a rumor that iNaturalist also shadows, or not bans, but shadows certain posts because of that, critically endangered or whatever.
Like it's
and I mean,
major species or whatever.
For that, I mean, for that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they had like a list, and if that species pops up, they have to look at it and say, okay, what, like, do we need to obscure this? Do we need to just flat out remove it? Like that, I can get. Especially, I mean, from like a liability standpoint as well. Like if you're showing where people are finding tigers and someone goes out to find a tiger and gets obliterated because of it, does that fall on iNaturalist? That too.
Yeah, I thought it was straight up for poachers. Rhino horn, tiger teeth, tiger penis, whatever.
Skin.
Yeah. So
I wonder how many poachers use that kind of thing though too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure they use it just as much as we do. I mean, if they're using the social media to jack their prices up for exportation and everything, they're looking at everything else we're looking at.
Sure. And I mean, poachers are infamous for using outside of the box thinking to mask and disguise their activities. So it would not shock me if they were hip to using iNaturalist, I also think that it is very cool to see a technological progression in areas that were previously not as techy.
Yeah.
And like you're speaking about Uganda. So obviously they have 5K in the city, but like you're getting some hits in Uganda, in Zimbabwe, in places that are, forgive my phrase, third world, that you never expect them to even have cell service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how. Say what you're gonna say.
I like it just because being able to look at Baird's localities and sort of see the differences across the range of phenotypes and stuff, and then in terms of like the Gonyosoma, going and looking at, there's not a ton of sightings of Persimmum / Corulum on iNaturalist, but going on there to be able to look at habitat, so that when I do this next build, trying to find something that looks similar and that I can sort of try and mimic as best as I can, and seeing the variation in those across the range as well. It's cool to see Jansenii also sort of spanned out across where they're located. And so even the corns, like I've gone in there and just looked up corn snakes and just looked at all the different corn snake sightings and stuff across the southeast, and I just like seeing the variation that you get and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know how hip you guys are to current events, but for those of you who are unaware, there is a major civil war conflict in the Sudan right now. And so just out of morbid curiosity, because I love Africa and I love African history, and it's a wild place with some wild animals.
Tears of the Sun.
I go on iNaturalist, and predominantly the fighting is in the Darfur region. And it's very interesting to see political control in regards to technology. So if you go on a naturalist right now and you just type in snakes and you hover your map over the Darfur region, there is no sightings at all. And one might ask, is that because there's no sightings, or is that because the government doesn't allow it? We'll never know. But it is still very interesting too.
I mean, I can't imagine that's exactly a travel destination for.
Yes, correct. Very correct.
I
But
don't know that
if
I'd want
you're,
to be in there
They
looking around for
might
stuff.
they might not even be worried about it because they're so worried about just living and finding their
Yeah.
next meal that they're like, I'm not posting this on. What is
well,
INAT?
I was, well, here's the thing is if you look at like, there's Chad, Libya, Egypt, Central African Republic, and South Sudan and Ethiopia, there's a ton of hits. And I mean, these are some middle of nowhere hits. But when you look at Darfur, there's definitely nothing.
Yeah.
So, oh man, but they got some cool snakes, man. They definitely do.
Yeah, like I said, I like to see if there's any shots of sort of like the habitat and stuff that these things are being found into. I like to really take a close look around at how the things are being found. You know, what's surrounding them, like what's in the background, what's in the foreground.
Oh yeah,
Definitely useful for enclosure building.
Taking in the whole sighting.
dude. Ekis Romani from South Sudan.
Oof.
Look at that thing, man. Look at it.
Those are
Awesome.
gnarly little snakes.
Gnarly.
Ekis are no joke.
Where you find that at the bottom of the Giza pyramid?
that would be pyramidium.
There was some bears that someone found, and they had their like the location was completely obscured. Not just like, yeah, we found this within this like 30-mile radius. It was like flat out like, I'm not going to tell you, and it kills me because they are some of the most interesting looking bears I've seen because they're like entirely silver.
Really?
There's like very little pattern. There's very little orange. Like they look like they are just straight up sculpted out of steel. And it's insane. And I know that guy has probably gotten a million messages saying, "Hey man, where'd you find that?" And him being like, "I'm not going to tell you." So I never bothered because I'm sure he would. You know, it's one of those things where like you don't know who's actually going to take that information and run with it, or who's just actually curious.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to tell me. So I was like, I guess I'll just have to hope one day maybe we'll know, or maybe someone else will see something like it.
Yeah, I think it really is species specific too, because like if you look at Davis Mountains and you look for Lepidus, there's a million sightings of some incredible Lepidus.
Except for when we were there.
Except for when we were there. Well, where we were, it was difficult. But
dude, I had a very hard time believing we weren't going to find one there. When we started going and like we were like Madera Canyon, I was like, this is. Yeah. If I was a rock, I'd be hard as one.
But then again, you think about it, did we not see one because of iNaturalist?
No, I don't know what it was, man, because there was a lot of small hiding spots.
Yeah.
But I'm still baffled that we didn't, and I was looking hard too, dude. I was checking like every little rock pile, fully expecting to see one just chilling, waiting.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
That's how we felt with the pigs this weekend. It's kind of like you almost feel like you didn't see any, but you probably walked past 3 or 4 of them.
For sure.
Just because of how elusive and tiny and non-moving they are.
Well, I also feel like, especially with Florida pigs, like Dusky specifically, it is very much not only just environmental like most other animals, but it's time of day too. Like, I don't think I've ever found a pygmy before 4 in the afternoon or after, say, 8 a.m. I don't think I've ever found one. It's always the like magic hour, like an hour before sunset.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They're definitely elusive.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I have one of my sales reps from my work. He's got his house is in Martin County, and his fence line is WMA. So he pig hunts like every morning. He just walks through his yard, goes out into the WMA, and he sends me pictures of Duskies slithering past his boots in his blind while they're locked up. Infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. He's like, dude, when are you going to come get all these rattlesnakes?
Now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's wild.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, he said, dude, send me videos of, I guess he like moved his chair or whatever in the blind, and it spooked the female, and the female's just dragging the male away.
Freaking A. Like Smitty's black racers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He went back for round 2 though, at least.
Good for him.
He was going for it. Yeah, I mean, you think about West Texas, man, and like gray bands in particular, and how those are kind of like in the same situation that the Hunt Club corns were not that long ago. And it's kind of amazing that people even still see them at all, because you got to think of just how much collection has put a dent in those across the range. I have a hard time believing that there isn't a direct effect to sightings of those, given how
but we've
odd and like insular almost those populations are.
But we've talked about this before, where is it really that they're in decline, or is it just we herped out the areas that we're physically capable of herping?
Because there's just so much space you can't get to, and rock lines you can't get to.
Well, I mean, in relation to those cuts that everyone goes and walks, and like the spots that everyone hits. When we were there was plenty of other people that were doing the same thing we were, and it's we saw that one group that had a car load full of stuff.
Yeah,
they were just plucking,
but they didn't have alternative, right?
I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me if they did, given the amount of stuff we saw them boxed up. But
true. But I also think like we walk up to a cut, right? We drive up to a cut. The cut's 40 feet high, right? Okay. We climb onto the top of that cut, right? You and me, we did it. And there's a fence there. If we had access to the other side of that fence, bro, how crazy would it be if there was just a bunch of alternate 100 yards past that fence?
That fence was just to keep cattle in.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But it's still trespassing. We still didn't have access to it. Imagine if we did. Imagine if we could. You know what I mean? And you find that one infamous cut where everyone finds the coolest gray bands, right? And you climb on top and you go 100 yards past that fence, and there's more rock piles, and there's more
like a force field.
Yeah, there's a dried up creek bed or whatever. They've got to be there. It's just our access is limited.
Yeah.
But in the same vein as that, though, if they are being collected from where there is access, then they're not reproducing with animals that may be in those force fielded areas. Therefore, you're going to get a decline regardless.
Or, well, I think of it as the ones that we're finding, the ones that herpers are finding, are ones that immigrated or migrated to those cuts. Like they're not necessarily cut endemic, or they don't live in those cuts. It just happened to be that they were hunting in that general direction or looking to reproduce in that general direction, and we happened to find them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then they'd all be males.
Not necessarily.
Statistically,
girls like to date too.
How many, in your experience, how many have hit you up first?
Wait, you're talking about human dating?
I'm in general. If we're
I'm
comparing
talking about
apples to fucking bowling balls.
I'm talking about snakes crossing the road. I would say it is probably 60% male and 40% female from my personal eyeball observation. I didn't probe every one.
That's generous.
You think? Now, if you said, hey, man, Diamondbacks in spring at 2 p.m, they're all boys because there's one thing on their mind. But if you said Nerodia in summer on a paved road, dude, 50-50.
Did you just assume their gender?
I assumed 50% of them. I also
Tyler,
think that...
Never mind. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, going back to Texas rat snakes and Texas snakes, I was super bummed that the only suboc we found was that one that got waffled, and it was a primo specimen.
I think
that was the night. That was the night that you stayed home, and
I tapped out.
That was the only
sleeping, y'all.
That was the only snake we found, but it was incredible to see it, regardless of it being waffled. But that would be my sole reason to go back. Like, Alterna is cool, man, but like I want to see Lepidus and I want to see subocs. And
just the fact that like a month after we left, Chris and them went out.
I know.
And
Let's
saw
not
so
bring
much
that up.
stuff, but I think they had more rain. Like
they did.
They had the rain showed up after we left.
Yep.
And I think that's what really drove everything home.
What I was going to say with the subocs is, I feel like the subocs is the same story as Alterna. It's just more. It's not as niche as Alterna. Alterna's freaking niche. It is. But the suboc, I feel like, is less attractive in the hobby than Alterna. Does that make sense? And I feel like
I think the Alterna have more of an allure just based on natural history.
Exactly.
You can go road cruise 5 suboc in a night. You're not going to go road cruise 5 Alterna. You know, you could go 5 years and not see an Alterna.
Right, but I don't know a single person that's ever found 5 suboc in a night, and maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not talking to the right people.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I watched freaking Noah and all of his herp gods go out, and when they crush West Texas, they freaking slay it, man. So I can't speak from personal experience. I need to go to West Texas myself.
That stuff, though. I mean, I haven't really watched any of his stuff, if we're being honest. But
and Smitty's thinking what I'm thinking.
You're seeing the highlight reel.
And you're seeing the highlight reel that may be like, and again, we're not poking at one individual herper or one individual influencer.
No,
we're saying that in general, it is a common trend for very successful herpers to stockpile stuff and then say, look what we found in 24 hours, when in actuality, it was a month's worth of photos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Especially when they're young, they don't have a lot of responsibility. Maybe they're in college and they're taking a summer off or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sour old man.
You're not going to see videos of them not finding stuff.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, it's very easy to choreograph your posts and your reels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you tell me that you find 5 suboc in a night, it's very possible. When you're doing it over and over and over and over again, then I start to have doubt.
Okay. I've never been to West Texas. I thought those were like road cruising yellow rats for us, the way they make it seem on video.
Yeah, and how about this, dude? In 2022, I found 1 yellow rat. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, if you said to me, hey, man, how many yellow rats did you find in 2006? I didn't count. You know what I mean? But that was a long time ago, with a different agricultural climate, with less human encroachment, with less traffic.
Yeah.
So
that was another thing. How much do you think roadkill takes a toll on populations? Because I feel like it's just as much as collectors decimating numbers, if not more.
I would say more.
Yeah.
Because most of the collectors are putting them into captivity, where yes, they're being removed from the wild, but they're still propagating and keeping the hobby going, and you know what I mean in that regard.
Yeah.
But I feel like as much as roadkill affects things way more than people let on, or way more than people think, I think just having the road there in general is a physical barrier, because it's not just the road, it's the easement on the sides, it's the shoulder, it's the exchange of soil, it's the drainage ditches, you know what I mean, flood drains that they put into the side of the road. And then you look at the agricultural areas where there were sugarcane roads that were amazing herping roads, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And that tells me they're just dumping pesticides in the canal banks. You know?
And you're putting that sugar in your coffee.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's not harmful to us.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely a perfect storm of things that all pretty much lead back to us as a species.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, we complain about all the problems that are out there, but we cause all the problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Conjures are pretty cool.
Conjures are pretty cool.
Conjures are cool, man.
Get more of them, Skylar.
Did we ever get to talk about monitors at all this episode? Did I miss that talk?
I mean,
not really.
Just the fact that he still has his.
All right, cool.
That I have five hungry mouths to take care of every day.
Oh,
how's the water, like the Stefani system with the whole water changes?
Oh, dude, that's been a game changer, dude. I'm so glad I did that and modified a couple more, and that makes life a freaking breeze. You don't have to go in there and pick up a tub, and you're not splashing it everywhere. It's just throw a hose out the door and flip a switch, hose everyone down. Now the monitors are used to me coming in there with the hose, so I literally just hose them down, and they just sit there and take it. It's so awesome.
That's great.
Man.
How often are you doing the changes of the tub?
Either every day or every other day.
Oh, wow.
I probably could go longer, but they are in that water a lot and they drink it. So I clean it every day. I'm weird. Mm-hmm. I'd rather them have clean water.
Sure.
They spend a lot of time in it?
Yeah. I mean, I would say they probably spend 60 to 70% of their time up on the higher part and climbing, but the rest of the time they're in the water, man. They'll swim around and they do all their business in the water, and like their morning routines are usually going down and doing a quick bask, hitting the water, doing a poop, cruising around, getting a drink. Like they don't ever stop. They're in and out of the water all day. And if it's warmer at night, like a warmer summer night, like we're getting into, they'll sleep in the water. So
wow, they
use it a lot.
That's awesome.
Is it the younger ones that tend to spend more time in the water? Or do you notice it with some of the older ones too?
So honestly, I feel like it's all the same across the board because the adult, she's doing the same thing as the babies. She sleeps in the water and her morning routine's the same thing. She'll climb down, get a drink, go in there, take a dump. I'll clean it out one more time really quick before I leave work. And then she's freaking in and out of it all day because when I come home, it's usually a mess. So, but
that's cool. That's really cool. I'm glad that panned out.
Yeah, man. You gotta just take that wisdom from those guys that have been doing it for longer than you, because that just skips so many steps in my process. It's awesome. And now I got people that I can help that hit me up, and I try to give them a bunch of tips. So just gotta pay it forward, like you always say.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Oh, well, if there's not anything else, we will close her out.
Nice. Sorry I was late, gentlemen.
No. Unacceptable.
Skylar, I'm glad we got to talk.
Yeah, I think I got one thing we can close it out on. I got one thing to say.
Yeah.
That is, we all need to collectively keep this freaking wave going of getting together and herping and keeping the circle tight. Because, dude, this is, like I said, like this last month or basically this year of just seeing – the one thing you missed, Bill, was I was just telling Smitty how this year is the first time I've actually had the guys come over and see the collection between Bratz, Jenkins, my buddy Chaz, Preston, my other buddy Zach, Billy Hunt, everyone coming over and seeing it and just getting you jazzed up on everything is awesome. And it just gives you that motivation to throw it all right back in the collection. So I want to keep that train going and just making all these memories. And we were in Georgia, dude. We're laughing like a bunch of little schoolgirls on the ground, just a bunch of guys laughing and joking and telling stories, man. It's some of the best times ever. We need to keep all that going.
I agree. Well said, man. Well said.
Need to do it more than just Daytona.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Daytona's awesome, but it was good to get out and hang out with everybody, and it was a nice break. Good to get out of town for, even if it was only for 24 hours, still a nice trip. That was very productive.
Yeah, I feel like we can all afford a Rocket Run weekend trip to every quarter of the year to hit a different area so we can all see each other and maybe see each other's spots and stuff.
Sure.
I think it'd be worth it, man.
Definitely figure out a better sleeping situation next time in my car.
Dude,
it was like It was like sleeping in a freaking coffin. I put that cot in the back, and I had all of like 12 inches of clearance between my body and the roof of my, like the ceiling of my car.
You didn't bring a tent?
I did, but by the time I was trying to decide whether I wanted to set it up or not, because I was like, I don't want to set this thing up and break it down just to sleep in it for 6 hours. And so I was like, let me see if the cot will fit in the back of the car, and it did. But then I was like, well, now I got to get in here, give myself a baby wipe bath, change clothes, and then there's also like no airflow.
I think it's hilarious that you had a cot.
I don't know. My dad had one. He's like, hey, I was like, okay. Better than sleeping on the ground and fucking my back up. I'm getting old, bitch.
I got a bad back.
But I did my gigantic Sasquatch ass, 6'4", in the back of my car on this cot. Did manage to completely change clothes. Initially it was pretty toasty in there. Like I said, I had a little fan that I plugged in to kind of circulate some air, but it was pretty hot. And then towards like 4 a.m. it got cold, and so I was cold. And then it was rough. I have a better plan next time. I like sleeping in the back of my car. Like I fit, like it's nice, and it's enclosed, and it's not like I don't have to worry about the Blair Witch coming and getting me.
Yeah, them witches.
It's actually funny, man. I was moving stuff around. And I found my tent, and I think the last time I actually opened that thing was with you at Carpet Fest, Smitty. So I gotta open that thing and air it out and make sure the seals are still good and everything.
No mildew.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I agree with Skylar, man. We got to do that. We just got to keep it going, like you said.
I'm all for it, man.
Remember when we had Carpet Fests? Those were the days.
They're coming back, man. They're coming back. There's gonna be one Northeast is a go, and now I hear there's one in Texas at Replandia. That's gonna be awesome.
You're gonna have to get a Southeast one going here, man.
We do.
We can't make the one because of Daytona, so I won't be able to make the Carpet Fest up there. But
yeah, we got to do one in February like we used to, and find a central location, and we'll do it. Maybe THN will do it.
I think that's been the only real hurdle is like a good location. P and Cody's has always worked out really well for that because they have the space to host it.
Yeah.
I can't think of anywhere here, between my place and Jake's that we could pull it off to the the same scale that it was at P and Cody's. And I don't know. Jake and I have definitely talked about it. We don't know how to solve that issue,
Yeah. We'll put some brains together. We'll do it.
I mean, even if we got like a little cheaper venue that a couple people pitched in to get, and then did it there instead of trying to do it at someone's house, then you don't got to worry about the whole thing that happened to Eric with mites and everything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just keep it all about the people and having a good time and sharing the experience and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's, I think the biggest thing with that was like, people getting hammered and then they didn't have to go anywhere. They could just crash.
Yeah.
Crash there. So that's kind of the thing is like, yeah, we could do it, get a hotel conference room or something and do something there. But I don't know. I think the best, like Jack said, I think the best thing would probably be like a campground type deal.
That would be dope.
I think that would be the best way to do it. And it's like, yeah, you won't be able to see whoever's hosting their collection and stuff, but that doesn't really bother me all that much. My room is tiny. Phil's seen it. You can fit more than like 3 people in there at a time anyways. And
Yeah.
My house surely ain't big enough to host something like that. So, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It sucks we didn't get to have Aiden on to spit some UK stuff, but I'm glad we got to talk some herb stuff.
Next time, man, for sure. I'm glad you came on, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use code THN at checkout. Save yourself some money. Get yourself a rack. Get yourself a cage. Whichever one you prefer, they got them. Some of the safest racks in the industry. I can firmly say that with some of the new features they are now dropping on those racks. The concern over potential fire hazards and things is dropping substantially with these new designs they've got going on. So please go check those out. And then Puget Sound Pythons, follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Go hunt them down on Morph Market. Give them a follow there. See what they've got going on. And then, again, shameless plug, Fulvius Apparel.
There it is.
Follow it on Facebook and Instagram. Taking pre-orders on the Morelia shirts. I'm going to have some hats here available soon as well. And it'll be good. Hit
Rock
me
and
up.
roll.
We'll be back Thursday for THP. As far as I know, Jake is back in town. So we will see you then. Thank you all.
Bye.
Later, peeps.